Well, if you're a gun voter in Crawford, Washington, Jefferson, St. Genevieve, or St. Francis County, you have a choice to make in the upcoming August 6th Republican Party primary. Representative Mike Henderson versus Representative Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway. Who's going to fight for your gun rights in the Missouri Senate? Stay tuned, guys. We're breaking this race down for you right now. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. The August primary is right around the corner, and we're being asked by a lot of gun owners right now in Senate District number 3 about this matchup between Representative Mike Henderson, Representative Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway. It's Eastern Missouri, right up against the edge, Crawford, Washington, the bottom half of Jeffco, St. Francis, and St. Genevieve County, and it's an open seat race. Senator Gannon is not going to seek re-election, but we do have 2 state reps with voting histories to compare as we decide as gun voters who might or might not be willing to fight for our gun rights. That's the question you're always asking us here at the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Not who's pro-gun, because everyone says they're pro-gun. We believe almost nobody. We should be suspicious as gun owners. Talk is cheap. So the question you're asking is always, how do we know who we can trust? The good news in this case is that Mike has been there for 8 years, since 2016. Cyndi for 4 years, since 2020. There is a lot of details we can give you about where these two have been in the gun rights community and the gun rights movement here in Jefferson City. We're going to begin with Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway, been there for 4 years. The good news about Cyndi is she has surveyed 100% pro-gun with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. And what that means to us is that Cyndi has pledged in writing that she will be a leader in the fight for gun rights by sponsoring pro-gun bills. You know, it's pretty simple to find people who will vote pro-gun when leadership says it's okay to vote pro-gun. That happens a lot. What's hard, though, is to find people who will sponsor pro-gun bills, who will lead in the fight for the Second Amendment. We don't need more yes men or yes women. We need people who will fight. And Cyndi has pledged on her survey to fight for the Second Amendment. That's a great thing to see coming from Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway. What's also cool, though, is that as an incumbent, as a state rep, it's not just a pledge. We can look back and consider her actions. In 2021, we passed the nation's first Second Amendment Preservation Act. You've probably heard of this. It's called SAPA for short. It tells Joe Biden, you can't use Missouri cops to enforce federal gun control laws. If you want to enforce your tyranny in Missouri, have your own manpower do it. You can't use ours. Biden hates it. We love it, and Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway was a proud co-sponsor of that bill. Look it up for yourself. It was HB 85, and it was in 2021. This session, she was a leading co-sponsor on House Bill 712. This was our bill to ban red flag gun seizures. You guys all know what a red flag law is, probably. They're right across the river in Illinois, for example. They're in about 13 states right now. Someone doesn't like you. They call you in, they say you could be dangerous. Maybe it's an ex-spouse, maybe it's a vengeful coworker, maybe you got a crazy crackpot leftist lunatic college professor as a neighbor, right? Whatever it is, they call you in, you might be dangerous, and when the judge agrees, and the judges always agree, that's why we say when, not if, when the judge agrees, they rubber stamp that document and your guns are confiscated before you've ever been arrested or convicted of anything. It's insane. It violates our due process rights. You have more due process rights, frankly, with a speeding ticket than you would in a red flag gun situation. We want to ban them here in Missouri altogether, as other red states have already done. Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway agrees. She co-sponsored the bill. Look it up for yourself. It was House Bill 712 this session here in Jefferson City. So we have a pro-gun survey and a history of actions that gives that survey some credence. A strong showing from Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway. And that brings up Mike Henderson. Mike has been there for twice as long as Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway, but frankly has done absolutely nothing to fight for your gun rights in the 8 years he's been in the Missouri House. In this election cycle, unfortunately, Mike is refusing to answer his MOFC gun rights candidate survey. Again, when a candidate signs a survey, it helps us understand as voters how that person might vote on your gun rights. When they won't complete the survey, It also helps us understand how that person, frankly, might vote on your gun rights. And it's never a good sign to see a candidate who will not survey. We have had probably 200 candidates survey with us this election cycle, maybe 300. Unfortunately, Mike Henderson will not do it. That's a very dangerous thing. But because he is a state rep with 8 years, again, we don't need a survey to give you guys a snapshot on what Mike has done, or in this case, not done for your gun rights. Remember how I mentioned we passed SEPA in 2021 and Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway co-sponsored that bill? SEPA had probably more co-sponsors than any bill in the legislature in 2021. 75, I believe it was, members of the House co-sponsored SEPA legislation. It was a runaway, wildly supported bill in Jeff City. It was amazing. Despite that, Mike Henderson refused to add his name to that bill as a co-sponsor. Sure, he voted for it eventually when leadership said, "You're going to vote for this." But that's not the same thing as helping us get to the finish line with his co-sponsorship. That's a real concern for us. I told you, for example, how Cyndi co-sponsored anti-red flag laws. Well, Mike Henderson won't do it. He didn't do it in, let me see here. He didn't do it in 2023, HB 712. He didn't do it in 2024, House Bill 1651. He's never done it. We want to ban red flags. That's a big goal for us. It takes a lot of support to get it to the finish line, and Mike Henderson will not co-sponsor the bill. We've also asked him in the past, would you co-sponsor enhanced stand your ground law? You know, Missouri's got stand your ground law, and it says you don't have to retreat before you use defensive force. That's a good first step. But when we saw how Kim Gardner tortured the McCloskeys, for example, we realized that Missouri's self-defense laws have some problems. The biggest problem we have right now is here in Missouri, if you use your firearm in the eyes of Missouri law, you're presumed guilty. You're presumed guilty. And what that means is the government, frankly, has all the power because now you have to prove your innocence in a court of law. In about 20 other states, that presumption has been inverted. And so now the gun owner is presumed innocent. That's how it should be. We're Americans. We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But it's not that way in Missouri when it comes to a use of force situation. The other problem we have is that you can only claim stand your ground law as a defense right now on your appeal. That's backwards. We asked Mike Henderson, would you co-sponsor that bill? We asked him in 2022, House Bill 2118. We asked him in 2023, House Bill 486. We asked him in 2024, House Bill 2559. No, no, and no. Every time. We also asked him, would you help us get rid of deadly gun-free zones here in Missouri? Missouri's got a real problem with gun-free zones, as you may or may not know. There's 18 areas, in fact, in our own state code, not federal code, not a federal mandate. It's in our own state code, 18 areas where you and I can't carry. And what that means, of course, is the bad guys have a free target. The bad guys have a place to go where they know that the good guys are disarmed, we're vulnerable, we can't fight back, and they can do whatever the hell they want. They're deadly. We all know it. Everyone knows it. They have to be repealed here in Missouri. We tried to get Mike Henderson to co-sponsor that bill in 2023. He said no. That was House Bill 282. We asked him again in 2024, House Bill 1708. He said no again. Every single time that gun owners have asked Mike Henderson as a state rep to lead in the fight for gun rights, hell, not lead, just follow by co-sponsoring in the fight for gun rights, every single time he said no. Now, I went back and checked just the last 2 years, just to be clear. But I bet if I go back to his first day in office, 2017, my guess is that Mike Henderson has never sponsored or co-sponsored a gun bill. If I'm wrong, be happy to correct it. But based on what we've seen so far, I don't think he ever has. Now, that might be okay for some people. But for gun voters, you might ask yourself, why hasn't he? And if he hasn't ever lifted a finger to fight for my gun rights for 8 years in the House, will he all of a sudden change his perspective and fight for my gun rights in the Senate? That's a question only you guys can decide. But if you see Mike Henderson, be sure and ask him, why have you done nothing for gun owners for 8 years in the Missouri House? Why won't you survey? Why won't you co-sponsor gun bills? Why won't you sponsor gun bills? What have you ever done to help defend my right to keep and bear arms? And if you see Cyndi Buchheit-Courtway, be sure to thank her for her 100% pro-gun survey and for her promises in writing to be a leader in the fight for gun rights and her past actions supporting your gun rights here in Jeff City. Guys, that's our recap in this race. Do me a favor, whether you're watching this on X, just Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, YouTube, our website, share the video on social media and make sure gun voters have the facts. And guys, to get more involved in the fight today, go to joinmofc.com.